You're not weak for needing to modify your workouts because of the heat. You're not falling off the wagon, as y'all like to say. You're not losing your gains, your edge, whatever. You're just experiencing the freaking physiological reality that it's hot.
Welcome to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, the podcast where we debunk the eat less, move more, shrink more mentality and focus on what really matters, which includes your relationship with your body, food, self-worth, and the behaviors that align with all of those. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, licensed therapist with specialized training in food and body obsession, certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. At the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast, we believe what you see in your mind, you see in the mirror. So let's have a conversation about that. Before we get into today's episode, I want to make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you don't want to miss any content that's being dropped, make sure you hit that notification bell as well. I also want to know who are the people you want to hear from on this show and what topics would you like me to continue to cover. Thank you so much for your continued support. Now, let's get into the episode.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mindset Mirror Connection podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to work out when it's so goddamn hot outside. So this was a request by a listener. So I am listening and I'm hearing you guys. And if someone lives in the desert, I know how to do all of this. So some of this might come as like a, oh, wow. And some of it's just a reminder. So if you're new to this podcast and you do not want to hear anything about my life, make sure that you just fast forward to start the conversation. Okay. So I went to San Diego. I have to tell you guys, full transparency, I had alcohol. And for those of you who are new, like I've been on this like soberish journey and I haven't been drinking like I used to. And I decided I would. My body decided that that was the worst fucking idea that I could possibly have. I have never felt so terrible in my life. And just another reminder that as I get older, my body doesn't like alcohol. It does not like it. I don't like anything about it. I don't like anything about it. Unless it's okay, I shouldn't say that. I like the first, the 1 to 2 drinks. That's it. These all day events, your girl can't do it. I can't do it. I was in a body bag yesterday and just, I could see her. I could see Christina. She was at the house. She wanted to have so much fun with her friends and she did, but then she needed to go home and she didn't. So just a lovely reminder from my body that alcohol is just not for me. Not for me, especially in quantities throughout the day. Not it. So I basically wanted to die all day yesterday. I wanted to sleep all day, which I did. And for the first 5.5, 6 hours, I was in a car because we were driving back from San Diego. So just your lovely reminder to listen to your body. You know what's so funny about that is that I was thinking about it yesterday. I was like, God, this used to be like so normal in my life as a recovering party girl. Like, how did I possibly feel that way multiple days in a row? And obviously, like it's such a vastly different feeling than the way I've been feeling waking up on the weekends because I haven't been drinking. But like I just thank you, body. It was just more investment in the why we don't do that anymore, bank. So that was that. So we went to San Diego and it's so hard when I go to San Diego. So for those of you who don't know, I used to live there. And, I want to see all my friends. I want to eat at the places I wanted to eat. But I did see the 2 people I wanted to see, which was great, even if it was only for a short time. And then was able to celebrate my very, very close friend Camilla and her birthday. We did a whole 80s bar crawl situation. And I just go all out. I had an outfit, but it was not enough. So then I had to go and find something better. And I felt really good about what my outfit turned out being. Here's the picture right here. She looked cute. I even had the makeup. I had the blue eyeshadow with the pink and purple lipstick. It was amazing. So if you have a theme party, holler at your girl. She wants to come. Speaking of hollering, wanted to give a shout out to all of our winners of the Legion bundle. I have reached out to them individually and your Legion bundle will be on the way. So shout out to you all. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for writing a review. We'll continue to have contests like that throughout the way because it's one of the easiest things you could do to support this podcast is comment about the show. Like this show, obviously follow, subscribe to the show, and give this show reviews or share it. Very, very simple way to support me. I'll let you guys know, like this podcast is not, it's complimentary to my business, The Mindset of Matter. But, I don't take anything in from this podcast. It's more going out because I pay for the editing and all of that. So these little things that you can do are incredibly helpful. So just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, spoiler alert, if you're not going to hear this until the end of July. So Love Island, we had our finale last night as of recording this, and my girl Amaya Papaya and Brian won. Makes me very happy because she is just this genuine gal. And you know what I loved about it? It made me so emotional because I'm like an Amaya. I have a very unique personality. I'm loud. I like to be funny and fun, but I also call things out as they are and can definitely be misunderstood. Nor most of the time, I'm thinking I'm calling something out because, my friends want that, and it's almost like protective of them. Like, don't worry, I'll say that thing's wrong or to stop doing that thing so you don't have to, especially just knowing my friends, like they're kind of passive. And so with Amaya, she was more just very lovey-dovey, touchy, just kind of wore her heart on her sleeve. And a lot of the guys were put off by that, which is really sad because she definitely had a lot of love to give. She met Brian actually when three dudes were like trying to like tear her down and be like, "Oh, you're so much, you're too much, you're too much." It's like, no, you're not. We're not too much. We're just uncomfortable for people who can't handle our enoughness. And that is okay. You don't need to apologize for that. But Brian came in and actually stood up for her and was like, well, she's Latina and Latina culture. Like, we love hard, we love loud. It's, mijo and my love and all of that. And then they began talking and they won Love Island. We love that for them. The finale, I'm sorry, not the finale. They're going to do a reunion, which will be very, very interesting because it's just crazy how this Love Island has had so much like publicity on social media and all the things. It's kind of nutty because I've watched other episodes or other seasons, and like the season with Miguel and Leah and PPG were way better than this one, but I don't remember it having so much like backlash, but it also wasn't as active on TikTok, so maybe that's why. But great, great show to watch to completely disconnect because it is not, you don't have to think. You just watch and laugh or get mad at the TV screen because, they voted off the wrong person. But it's definitely a great wind down show because it's kind of dumb. And I love it. So if you follow Love Island, you know this is a safe place for you. There's hot people, they're in Fiji, they're looking great, and we love it. Speaking of hot, today we're talking about something that often derails our clients, even the most disciplined client, and that is working out when it's hot as hell. If you are beating yourself up because your workouts feel slower, shorter, or even non-existent right now, this episode is for you because I live in Arizona and it gets hot. And in the summer, I know I have to adjust the way I'm approaching workouts and really a lot of other things. So we're not just talking about workouts. I want to talk about other habits that are part of, a healthy lifestyle. So first thing is a lot of people will start to say, "Oh, I need to move more. I need to move more," because they simply can't. So, for example, right now, where's my phone? Right now in Phoenix, Arizona at 3:19 p.m., it is 103 degrees. Ain't nobody going outside when that's actually cool. It was 118 last week. I ain't going outside for that, right? And if I don't get my movement in the windows that I'll talk about, it can be harder to do. Now, I'm going to talk about ways that you can actually make this a reality, but let's just get this out of the way. You're not weak for needing to modify your workouts because of the heat. You're not falling off the wagon, as y'all like to say. You're not losing your gains, your edge, whatever. You're just experiencing the freaking physiological reality that it's hot. When the heat index is high, your core body temperature rises faster. Your blood flow shifts to your skin. That's there to help cool you down, and your heart rate increases in an effort to keep that going, right? The problem, though, is now we have this heat, we've got this sweat, we've got this increased heart rate, and everything feels harder because it's so hot, right? And let's not even get into the fact that if you're someone who's in perimenopause, add the hormonal shifts on top of this thermoregulation, and boom, you are hit with this double whammy because you have this, like, it's called vasodilation, which is what causes hot flashes. So if you're feeling like your summer workouts are just like a struggle fest, that, just again, we're going to come back to an episode that I recently did. You just have to have, that resilience and that acceptance, radical acceptance was what I was looking for there, to be like, okay, I need to switch up my plan. But let's talk about why pushing through the heat and all of that backfires, because my type A's, you want to think like it's just sweat, suck it up, right? It's totally fine. You know how many people, I think it's called like dumb hiker law or something like that in Arizona. If you require a medical walk down from the mountain, no, I'm thinking of the stupid motorist law, but you're not allowed to bring your dogs on the mountain after it's 100 degrees. Your dumbass should not be on the mountain either. I live on a mountain right here. It's funny because I could hear a helicopter. That'd be hilarious if it's happening right now, where they're taking people off the mountain because they overheat. I saw this person walking in my neighborhood like 2 p.m., fully clothed. And I was just thinking, and I'm like, why are they doing that? Do they think they're losing weight because they're sweating? A lot of people think that, right? Or they'll go do the hike because in their minds, they're like, I've got to get the hike in. So too bad. It's so hot. I'm just going to do it. But training hard when your body is under that much heat can cause, stress on your body, which increases cortisol, can impact your sleep. It can delay recovery. But if we're being really stupid, you can literally die because you're overheating and you're not thinking about the ramifications of doing it. You're only thinking, I have to get the workout in, I have to get the workout in. When you need to be thinking about, if it's me doing this workout right now under these conditions actually safe for me, right? And we all, the type A's think about it as I'm just being dedicated. And you almost might tell people, yeah, I went and hiked today at 2. Like, ooh, look at me. It's like, that's stupid. I love working out. I would never do that, okay? And the problem is that on top of this like false sense of reality that that's something smart you should be doing, you're stacking stress onto each other, and you're doing all the things but not seeing progress, right? This is especially true if your goal is like body recomp or metabolic repair, because all of those things do require your body to feel safe. And feeling safe in your body does not mean overheating. Let's be very real on that. We're not safe in our bodies if our body is working so hard to try to move through this. I mean, it can feel like a swamp. Like it could feel so thick, like this thick heat. And let me just say, it's not just outside. Sometimes, you'll find that the gym is naturally hotter, right? So even in the air conditioned gym, while here in Arizona, we love to crank up that AC, like still with the bodies, with the door opening and closing, it can get so much hotter. I know when I used to coach at 45, like this was a big deal. Like we keep those fans on as high as possible. And so, I want you to be thinking about, okay, I usually would push myself through. I'd work through the heat, but everything's feeling a lot harder. If it's feeling a lot harder, then you want to do some of the things we talked about today. Now, for some of you, you're like, no, actually, I have pulled back, but I would like to figure out like what it looks like for me to continue moving during this time. And the look is, it doesn't mean to stop training, of course. This means to train smarter, right? So let's talk about that. So first thing is we don't need to quit. We just need to shift, right? We need a new strategy. So for me, normally during like the fall and winter, I wake up, I work out, and then I walk my dog. Okay. Now, someone who is a creature of habit or someone who is that type A or even neurospicy, you're going to want to, your brain says, I want to do things a specific way and I have to do them a specific way. You do not. You can be flexible in that. So during the summer months, I, of course, wake up at 4 a.m., 4:15 to be exact. You might not do that, but I know that if I wake up at 4:15, I can do my journaling and kind of checking in with myself. And then I take liberty on a walk from 5 to 6, workout from 6 to 7. Could I swap it? Sure. This morning I woke up later because I felt terrible yesterday. I woke up at 5:30. So I didn't get up. Or sorry, something 5:15, I think. Got Liberty out at 5:30 to 6:30. It was okay. The sun is not up by my house because I live next to a mountain.
You know what drives my clients absolutely crazy is they're eating clean and doing all the workouts, but they don't see the weight budge. Their sleep is all over the place. Their hormones are through the roof and they feel like they're going crazy.
Yeah, it's frustrating because 9 out of 10 times it's something hormone related that no one's looking at. It's perimenopause, menopause. Our biology internally has shifted, but no one's changing the strategy as far as approach.
What if perimenopause support included like therapeutic guidance, nutrition, exercise, and hormonal support all in one place?
Seriously, it would be great if you didn't have to track down like 10 different experts just to feel like yourself again.
That's why I created the Mindset of Menopause and have partnered with Dr. Jordan Trapp to create a comprehensive plan to your hormonal health.
Together, we are making medical insight meet emotional strategy. So your symptoms make sense, your plan actually works, and your power comes back online.
This isn't just support. This is your comeback season.
Click below for more information.
So we want to adjust our schedule. So move your training is incredibly important. So early morning or even in the evening. Okay. So you can, for me, I like the mornings. See, here in Phoenix in the evenings, it's still really hot. The morning is when it's the coolest. And so wherever you're at, looking at that, like if your early mornings and your evenings are relatively the same, you have the flexibility to move that around. Of course, we want to be indoors if we can. One thing I do though with Liberty, if I do like on a Saturday walk her a bit later, is I can walk on the side of the mountain and we're shaded. And so I can just walk back and forth where it's shaded until it's not anymore, until the sun comes up and over that mountain. And it does really make a difference to work out in that shaded space. Obviously, finding those cool spaces, so your AC is going to be important. And yes, this may mean that you need to rearrange your schedule, but just remember it's just temporary that you're doing this. And as long as you can make it work, great. Another thing you can do is, drop the volume or intensity of your workouts, right? Maybe something like shorter sessions. I talked to a client about this just recently. Having more rests, right? Lowering your weights or having fewer rounds of workouts. You're still giving that muscle the signal to build, to grow, and you're still keeping momentum. You're just, shortening the time of the workout itself. So we're not staying in this overly hot place. So in the Mindset of Movement app, which is basically a secondary part of my coaching app, the Mindset of Matter app, you can access the app for $29. It has 5 different workout programs. And one of those workout programs is the Time Crunch program. It's 3 20-minute workouts and you will sweat and then you'll be done, right? And so lowering the volume, intensity, or length of that workout can be incredibly helpful. And of course, you're still getting, again, that stimulus and keeping the momentum. Another thing you could do is like choose the modality of what you're doing. So instead of doing like long runs, right, you might kind of like we just talked about, switch to like interval-based work. Okay. So you might do some sprinting on the treadmill. You could even do sprinting outside, right? So we're shortening the time outside rather than those long trail runs. We're saying, okay, I'm going to do this kind of 30-second all out, short bouts, all outs, and then rest until my heart rate comes down under 100 beats per minute and then repeat, right? So you're shortening it. You may also switch up, your heavy strength training for maybe some like gentle yoga or flow work. You could do obviously things that go in the pool, right? Do some laps, play around in the pool. The pool's great, especially when it's hot, right? I wish they had the opposite of hot yoga where they had like chilly yoga, but that might not work for the body. And then choose your modality again. Like if we're doing high intensity interval training, again, you can move that, especially if it's like an F45 or an Orange Theory. I mean, you're going to be hot because you're running, your core temperature is just going to be hot anyways doing those classes. Then add in the environmental temperature and it's going to, you're again, double whammy. So bring it down to more controlled resistance, core stability work. And just remember, just because you're sweating, that doesn't mean your workout's effective. That just means you're hot. Okay. So trade, adapt, drop the volume. That's incredibly important. Now, your recovery is just as important. So, prioritizing hydration. This is something that I find that clients, especially that live in cooler climates, have a hard time adjusting to because they are thirstier, but they don't have the habit underneath their belt. So, this is why practicing like a hydration habit is incredibly important all year round, even though you might not feel you need it. Like right now, my mouth is parched because I just realized my water is inside. I drink water all day long. So, how do I drink water? I fill up my water. I put Mio and I do a sweet tea in my Mio or in my water. It's absolutely delicious. It doesn't make me feel like I'm drinking water, but I'm getting the water in. Or I will put something like an element tea packet in my water, which is electrolytes as well. And so this is really important. This is something that doesn't necessarily have to change, but if you can create the foundation underneath you to hydrate and put your water bottle next to your coffee pot. When the coffee's brewing, you fill up that water bottle. You drink half of it, right? You drink your coffee, you drink the other half of the water. Then you could go to the bathroom before you get in the car to drive to work, okay? Do the same thing once you get to work. Have that second cup of coffee when you get to work. Do the same thing with your water, right? So building that foundation is incredibly important. And then adding in those things, whether it's fruit, a Mio, electrolyte packets, adding those things in to make that water taste better is super helpful. Plus, it's like super refreshing. Me and my little sweet tea Mio, I love it. I mean, I drink so much water because of it. The other thing, though, too, is cold plunging is really nice during this time, especially for women. We want to keep that cold plunge around 55 degrees. We don't want to go much lower than that. There's a lot of research that shows that, that practice of managing the stress in the body is better for us at like cool temps, not cold temps. But even a cold shower in the morning can be super helpful. That's going to help kind of wake you up, right? That stress response is already there because it's morning time. So just give you that little jolt of energy. And then also thinking about, okay, if I am doing a run or a walk outside, kind of similar to my dog's Liberty, like she walks, but then she comes back in and she like lays down on the tile. Now, you don't need to lay down on the tile, but maybe we do our mobility and stretching inside rather than doing it outdoors, right? Whereas maybe during the cold temperatures, you're doing it outdoors. Okay. So we definitely want to be recovering here, especially for our metabolic health. When you're recovering and not seeing it as this optional thing, it's an insurance plan for your metabolism, especially as it's getting hot and so on. Some other things you can do is really get creative. And this is my expertise, I feel like. Now, obviously, I have a walking pad. And my goal this summer is for at least an hour each day. And it doesn't have to be one full hour. It can be 15 minutes at a time. Monday through Friday, I'm walking on that walking pad just because I know, again, I do my little hour walk with Liberty, but I try to stay in this house as much as I can. So going on that walking pad super helpful for me. If I will link my Amazon storefront for you guys. I have a walking pad and a desk that is a walking desk or whatever you would call it. So I'll have both of those listed in there. Highly, highly recommend. You can find a walking pad on Facebook Marketplace for like $100. And it is a wonderful, wonderful investment, especially for times like this. Other things I like to do are just silly little tasks that I extend. So I might have talked about this before, but like when I do laundry, I put my laundry on the bed and then across from my bed are these built-ins, and it's probably like 8 steps each way, right? So 16 steps. So when I am sorting laundry, I'll take one item and walk over to the built-ins, put it on the built-in, and then come back. And then the other item, put it in the pile. And I just do this one by one. Yes, it does make laundry longer, but I'm just getting a little bit more movement in. Plus, it helps me organize better. I actually feel like I'm working smarter, not harder when I do that, because when I try to do everything at once, that's when I tend to slip up and mess up and things don't work out the way they're supposed to. So it does give me a little bit of clarity, structure, plus I'm getting those extra movement in. The same thing is true if you can just take a bathroom, say you live in a 2-story house, take a bathroom in a different story than where you're at. Or if you're at work, take the stairs, right? As long as they're air conditioned. 'Cause sometimes those stairs can be stuffy and gross, especially here in Phoenix. But just finding those little tasks. So another thing, the reason why my water bottle's still in the house is because I play this trick on myself, which I fell for today. I will go make my lunch. I will have my little soda water can, come back in here, eat my lunch. And then the goal is to go back, throw everything away, put my stuff in the sink, and then grab my water bottle and come back. Right. And that's just a little extra way I get some steps in because I could just bring everything here, sit here all day, and then take it all back once I'm done. But I'm just finding those little ways of increasing my movement, which I think is important. One of my clients is a judge and she's in chambers often. So we have a walk around her parking lot. Now, again, that would need to be in the morning for her. We have her walking pad. But then also, I just have a nice little office workout with a little bit of squats, some dips on her couch in her office, some push ups on the wall, like little stuff like that. So, getting in again, a bit more movement is super duper helpful. In regards to nutrition, a lot of times people during the summer can get really burnt out from their meal prep, especially if it's like the hot stuff. So the easiest way to do this in the summer is just to make some really nice, cool, like pasta salads. One of my favorite pasta salads is with Bonzo chickpea pasta, 140 grams. I get rotisserie chicken that's already been like taken off the bone. Throw that in there with some peppers, green peppers, carrots, cucumbers, and then the Olive Garden light dressing. Boom. Chill that. It's delicious. It's light, it's airy, it's protein friendly. And I do that with a lot of things. I have a tuna salad that I love that I can either put on an actual like bed of lettuce with vegetables or make it into like a tuna pasta salad. I do that with my chicken tender salad as well. Chicken tenders are a bit warm, because they're coming out of the air fryer, but still something really light. Even things like sandwiches. Sandwiches can be light. I used to bring sandwiches to the lake all the time. And I would get Subway sandwiches and just cut them up in fours. I think I've told you guys that before. So then you could just have these little like bite-sized sandwiches that actually are really, I mean, they're filling even at the 3-inch size, right? And just again, finding some meals that don't feel really heavy, that don't feel like you have to spend a lot of time on in regards to preparation. So you're not like standing over the stove. And I have an ice cream every night. If you have not already, invest in a Ninja Creamy. It's incredibly helpful. You can make smoothie bowls for your breakfast. You can make the ice cream. Obviously, smoothies in general are really helpful because we can put all of our macronutrients into a smoothie. And it's cool and it's refreshing, especially if you make it with some fruit. So be thinking about, how can I replace some things in my meals so that it feels just a bit more, I just feel lighter. I don't feel so gross and heavy and run down, especially when it's so hot. That's the worst feeling. That and, being hungover in a car for 5 hours. Um, so that is just in regards to nutrition. And again, hydrate, 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 hydrate. Another thing in regards to your habits is setting up your room for when it's so damn hot. I personally have a chilly sleep. It's called something else now, like Sleep Me, I want to say. And I crank that baby down to like 67 degrees. So when I'm going to sleep, I am cooled, I am chilled. The only time my bed gets warm in regards to the chilly sleep is when it wakes me up. It warms me up through heat. But majority of the night it's between 67 and 72 degrees. And I absolutely love it. If you cannot do something like a chilly sleep, changing out the blankets so you have those cooler, crisp sheets and changing your sheets more often. Because y'all know when you have those nice, cool, crisp sheets, it just feels so much better. I have a client who has a 5-bedroom house, but she's a single gal and she just sometimes sleeps in a new bed just because it helps her sleep better. And I'm like, that makes sense, having those cool, crisp sheets is super helpful. And then of course having your water next to your bed. That's super helpful for me, especially when I wake up in the middle of the night. Because if I chug some water, I tend to go back to sleep. I know I've talked about this many, many times, but I stand by it. It has not worked. So that's really amazing. So again, just changing your schedule is going to be incredibly important. Just some miscellaneous things. We were talking about hydration. I was just thinking about how you can take fruit and put it into ice bins and put water on top of it and freeze it. Then put those ice cubes in your water, you have cold water, but as it freezes or unfreezes, I should say, or melts, that's the word, you can get that fruit flavor. Another thing is, if you are walking outside, to cover yourself up. The more covered up your body, the less the sun rays are going to get to your skin and make you, kind of, get hotter and sweat. It's interesting because my husband and I we know how long it takes us to walk before our bodies go into like its hot mode. It takes about 10 minutes, even in the middle of the summer. So we have a little store by our house where we buy sandwiches. So we can walk to that store, go inside the store, cool down, and then walk back. And it's not this, dreadful walk. But if, during that time, you could just put a cool towel on you. If you've ever looked at like a landscaper, they have all the tools. They're always covered up. They usually have like a cold compress on them. A hat obviously is going to help block the rays from your body. So if you are outside more and it's a bit more warm than if you're not working out in the mornings, really take those precautions. Obviously, bring your water and do not walk your freaking dog if you can't put your hand on the ground. If you can't sustain your hand on the ground, your dog's paws should not be on the ground. Damn it. Okay. The mindset shifts I want to talk about are like not using the summer as an excuse to not move more. One thing I didn't even mention is if you have the ability to go on the lake or the ocean. I was just in San Diego. People were paddle boarding, they were surfing, they were skinny boarding, they were kite surfing. Like, it was so active. Now, obviously, San Diego has beautiful weather, but remember, like, how can I transition this into going on the lake, going to a beach park, going to, the pool even, and getting in some movement, okay? And I want you to realize, like, summer, especially for my type A girlies, will test your discipline, but not in the way that you think, because you think it's about pushing harder during the summer when really it's being wise enough to pivot and secure enough to, not confuse self-trust with self-sabotage. And, what I mean by that is discipline isn't this rigid thing. Discipline is this repeatable, sustainable, adaptable, flexible thing. So if you're lifting lighter, walking instead of sprinting, scaling back to our 20-minute time crunch inside your apartment, you're not losing momentum. You're protecting your body. You're protecting the capacity, the effort that you have to give in the summer months. And more importantly, you're protecting your mental health and being super flexible there. And so just remember in the summer months, it's okay. It's okay to adapt. Slower doesn't mean you're going to be softer, right? Adapting your workouts isn't failure. It's a strategy to the new season, and honoring your body is what we want when the heat rises. It's incredibly important. So I'm interested to hear from you guys on this. What are some things you do in the summer months that keeps you really active? I know it's funny because most of the time I get winter months, like snow shoveling, right? And I never hear like what people do in the summer months. So if you are an avid, wakeboarder, if you're an avid, what is the other one? The one you stand on, standing board. I said it already, and now I can't think. Thank you, perimenopause, for that brain fog. Do you enjoy, like me, walking before the sun is up? It's incredibly helpful. The funny thing is I go to bed before the sun is down. So I'm all messed up when it comes to bedtime and wake time, but it works very much. So if you guys have any paddleboard is the name. If you have anything that you love to do that would be helpful for the community, please comment below. Say, oh, in the summer times I do that. One of the things that we didn't even talk about is for water, you can freeze your fruit in ice trays. And so now not only do you have cold water, but as it melts, that fruit flavor comes out too. That's really, really fun to do. All right. So that's that. I'd love to hear what you guys have to offer. Are there any things that you're doing? Are you avid boogie boarders, snowboarder? Do you wake surf? Like, what is it that you do to stay active during the summer? Maybe even if you could comment some meals that you love. I love like a yogurt parfait. It's light, it's airy, it's full of protein. The other things that I talked about in the Mindset of Matter app, we have now the ability to provide recipe books for our clients. And I did a whole slew of recipes for the 4th of July holiday, which a lot of our clients use, which were, again, just very light and airy. One was like a fruit salad. There was some like egg rolls that were really light and airy. So we have all of that available to our clientele. But yeah, let me know in the comments what's your favorite summer hack. And like I said from the beginning of this, if you haven't already, please make sure to hit that follow button. Follow this podcast. Again, that helps me get out to more people. It helps Apple if you're listening on Apple. It helps Spotify if you're listening on Spotify. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. And you guys are doing it. I've seen the follows go up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are over 200 episodes. I'd like to get over 200 followers. I like at least our followers to be higher than our episodes. And with that said, I want to ask you guys a question, and I'm going to put a poll underneath this. Do we move to 2 episodes per week? Is 3 too many? What do you guys think? So we'll put a poll underneath this episode where we can allow for polls. So please answer that poll for me. I'm also going to put it on Instagram for those who listen. And I'm going to leave you the same way I do every week, reminding you that what you say in your mind, you see in the mirror. Bye bye.